Welcome to Pushback. I'm Aaron Maté. The CIA has been caught spying on Wikileaks founder Julian Assange. According to a report from Spain, a private security firm recorded Assange during his stay in Ecuador's London embassy, where he lived under asylum until April of this year. The firm, Undercover Global, then handed over its recordings to the CIA. A streaming system was also reportedly installed, which would have given U.S. officials live access to Assange's meetings in real time. As part of its spying, Undercover Global allegedly installed surveillance equipment inside the women's bathroom. A Spanish court has opened an investigation of the firm and its work with the CIA. Fidel Narváez is a former Ecuadorian diplomat who served in the embassy while Assange was there. Welcome, Fidel, back to Pushback. The last time we spoke, it was to respond to a report in CNN that was based on information provided by the same firm, making a number of wild claims about Assange that you debunked. Now we learn that the same company, which was hired by Ecuador to protect the embassy, was actually handing over surveillance to the CIA. Are you surprised to learn this news?
Thank you, Aaron. Yes, I'm a bit shocked by the fact that this company was providing directly information from the embassy to the Americans. We knew that the company was spying on Julian. We knew that the company was spying on the Ecuadorian diplomat. We knew that was an unprofessional company, but we didn't know, I don't think anybody knew, that it will go to that extreme to provide that information to the people who they were supposedly protecting us from. That firm was contracted by Ecuador to protect the embassy, to protect the political asylee, to protect us from his persecutors, who were obviously trying to spy on us. So I find it shocking, yes.
One of the details in this report in El País is that the CIA relied on surveillance equipment that was put inside of the women's bathroom, and that it was inside of the women's bathroom where sometimes meetings were held in a bid to avoid this very fear of surveillance. Is that true, that meetings were held in there?
Well, during those 7 years, the surveillance equipment inside the embassy basically grow and multiply. Cameras were installed all over, and one of the few places where they were not cameras, I think was one of the bathrooms. That's right, and Julian knew that he was being a spy, so he chose to have meetings with his lawyers, probably the most sensitive meetings, not exactly in the bathroom, but just outside the bathroom in a little corridor where he thought that no camera, no microphones will reach. But I think he was wrong by what was discovered now by El País with this last report. They were obviously trying to get every single corner of that embassy surveilled. Yeah.
Which also means that they picked up any activity that was going on inside of the actual women's bathroom, which is just it was a startling revelation to read, and it's interesting to see the response, or in fact the lack of response. Here you have the CIA being accused of spying on Assange via the company that is hired to protect Assange, and there's been almost no outrage, in fact no outrage really, amongst Western government officials or Western media. What is your reaction to the lack of response so far?
Well, I'm not surprised about that. It goes in tune with what we have experienced all over through the asylum. There is a strong defamation campaign against Julian Assange. There is that big effort to distract the attention from the main important issues, which is he is the one persecuted. He is the one spied on. He is the one who they want in jail for publishing truthful information about war crimes. They want to distract the attention from that, and they focus in other things, in his character, in his relationships, with a lot of misinformation coming from the reports of this very company, which I think this is important, because you mentioned that our previous interview was about CNN report. All CNN report, and not just CNN, but other important media as well, who have chosen to focus on the insides of the embassy, as The Guardian as well, they base the information on the reports written by this company, a complete corrupt, dodgy, unprofessional company who was interested in exaggerating, fabricating events inside the embassy in order to justify their employment. So, yeah, I'm not surprised about the lack of response from media regarding this outrageous revelation. It's outrageous.
Finally, Fidel, a Spanish court is now investigating this company in the aftermath of this revelation that it provided its surveillance footage and recordings to the CIA. Do you expect anything to come out of that investigation?
Well, I very much hope so. I very much hope so. But I think it's important to know, Aaron, that this is one of the companies who were in charge of the security of the embassy. This one, for the 6 first years. We suspected they were spying all the time on us. We didn't know they were handing information to the Americans. Yeah? But with the change of government, in the last year under Lenin Moreno, a new company came to replace this UC Global, Prompt Security Company. And the spying on Julian, the spying on all of us, especially on Julian, went even to a deeper, higher level. And we knew that was under the instruction of the government. They were spying for Moreno's government. And that was the government that was collaborating with the Americans in order to finish the asylum of Julian Assange and hand him over. So that second company as well is being sued, also in Spain, because as a result of their spying, they were Spanish extortionists demanding money from Wikileaks in exchange of all the images they had from Julian Assange inside the embassy, including his meetings with lawyers, including his meeting with doctors, everything. Every single minute of Julian Assange's stay in that embassy is recorded. That's why it's also outrageous that the Ecuadorian government may make so many false allegations about Julian behavior in the embassy. Because every minute is recorded, they should be able to provide evidence. When they say that he was smearing feces on the wall, when they say that he was having fist fights with the security guards, when they say that he was being rude to the embassy staff. All of that is false. It's not true. It's based on the reports of corrupt security companies. We know that for sure.
And Fidel, you mentioned that the surveillance of Assange ramped up after a new Ecuadorian government came in. This is the government of the current president, Lenin Moreno. He assumed office in May of 2017. About 2 years later, in April 2019, that's when Assange was forcefully removed from the embassy, his asylum revoked, and now he is in prison under harsh conditions by the British government as he faces this U.S. extradition attempt. Can you explain for people who are not familiar with Ecuador's politics, what caused the shift in policy and why Moreno, in your opinion, ramped up the persecution of Assange and cooperated with the U.S. effort to have him extradited?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to explain because Mr. Moreno was part of the same political movement, the same political project that governed Ecuador for the last 10 years. That was a progressive government, anti-imperialist government that defied the American hegemony, and that's why we protected Julian Assange. But Mr. Moreno betrayed his movement, betrayed his voters because he won the election with the political platform of the citizen revolution of the previous government, and is implementing the program of the right-wing opposition. And the program of the right-wing opposition is to be subservient to the American policies, to American pressure. So it's a shift in international policy just to please the Americans, just to go back to the old relationship that Ecuador used to have, dependent relationship of the United States. And in order to please the Americans, he handed over Julian's head. That's all to it.
Fidel Narváez is a former Ecuadorian diplomat who served in the embassy while Julian Assange lived there under political asylum. Fidel, thank you very much.
Thank you.